Thank you very much. Good morning, members of the media, wider viewing and listening public of Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome to today's press conference at the Ministry of National Security. At the conclusion of Carnival, I think I can officially say that Carnival is now over and we've had a safe and successful Carnival from a national security point of view. And I have with me here today the Commissioner of Police, Mr. Griffith, the Deputy Commissioner of Police Acting, Mr. Dulalchan, and our Acting Chief of Defence Staff, Group Captain Darryl. So I'd like to start by asking the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service just to give us a quick and brief idea of what took place over the last few months that culminated in Carnival Monday and Tuesday and the statistics associated. Thank you very much, Commissioner.
Thank you, sir. The operation is still ongoing. We still have several events taking place today, Ash Wednesday, which even though it is supposed to be a working day, there are many events and persons somehow have turned this into a day where it is of relaxation. So, and through the use of technology, the use of the drones and the other arms of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, we are monitoring all of these locations. So it is not yet completed by the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service as it pertains to the Carnival operational plan. As the Minister stated, this was not just Carnival Monday and Tuesday. This involved operations throughout the Carnival season. There were over 200 events. I am pleased to say that all 200, it has been virtually incident-free in comparison to years gone by. I will hand you over to the Goal Commander, Mr. Dulalchan, who will actually give you more statistics. But it is not just about statistics that can give the impression or the perception that it was an incident-free and carnival, and I think that we were very successful in our operation. When you have hundreds of thousands of persons involved in events throughout Trinidad and Tobago for the last few months, inclusive of Carnival Monday and Tuesday, there would always be a few incidents. In comparison to years gone by, I am pleased to state that it is the lowest number of crimes or criminal activities that have taken place in Trinidad and Tobago. But it is not just about statistics, as I will just close off on. It has to do much more with the perception and the fear of crime. I think that was greatly reduced, and it had to do not just with the cosmetic, it's not cosmetic showing, but we were able to analyze situations. We looked at data, we looked at where criminal activities took place, where persons would converge to commit crime, and we were able to utilize our resources in an effective and efficient manner. And by doing that, it played its part in reducing crime, but also to take away the perception and fear of crime. And that is just as important as crime reduction itself. So arguably, I think it has been fairly successful. There will always be room for improvement. I know there's going to be the question pertaining to the absenteeism of police officers. I am pleased to state that it has been the highest attendance of officers in the police service in years for Carnival Monday and Tuesday. On Monday, we gave the 95% attendance. I think it is now about 97 to 98%. And it may also increase because now we have to look at at officers who may be sick, that will have sick leave. So again, I would like to take this opportunity to commend each and every police officer for the performance of their duties. They stood up and they rose to the occasion, and they did what was required to ensure the safety and security of the law-abiding citizens over the Carnival period.
Mr. Dulalchan.
I would just like to add to say that the success of the Carnival was not only on the part of the doing of the police, but I think it's important to note the role that the media played, as well as the general community, and more so the masqueraders and all stakeholders. So I also want to take the opportunity to congratulate them. What I have noted is that I would have been focusing as to what was happening in the entire country. And a marked difference this year was the amount of persons who were on the streets for Carnival. The numbers were phenomenal, and the time they were in the streets, up to 12 o'clock Monday night, 2:30 in the morning, we had Carnival activities. And when I got in numbers, like for example, in Scarborough last night at 12 o'clock, 10,000 people on the streets, Cedras, Arima, San Fernando, Princess Town, Grandi, and the question was asked, and I told them, I said, well, I am of the view that because of persons' perception of crime and the fact that they are feeling comfortable, that probably would have been one of the reasons why we had so many people on the streets actively taking part in Carnival, and the hours that they were in fact on the road. Yes, I would agree with the Commissioner that we did in fact have a very successful carnival, 12 SRCs. When you compare a total of a high of 46, and we more or less try to look at the number of SRCs within the Carnival village, just for us to get a clearer picture as to our policing impact that we would have made. I got feedback this morning that we did in fact made some inroads into trying to have people leave Port of Spain very quickly, and that's an all work. And yes, there's always room for improvement, but I think all in all, from a general standpoint, the TTPS has every reason, together with the other arms of national security, to stand tall this morning. I mean, Carnival has come and gone. We still have Ash Wednesday, and then we have now to go back into our routine task of making Trinidad and Tobago much more safer and one that we all wish for.
Thank you very much. And I'll now pass us over to our acting CDS, Group Captain Daniel, and he's going to address, you all have heard us talking over the last few weeks, in fact, a couple months, about our border and how our borders were too porous, and the work we've been doing and the focus we've been placing and the specific emphasis on our border security. So I'd like Group Captain Daniel to just give the country an update on how that has been going.
Honourable Minister, good morning, Trinidad and Tobago, members of the media. Your defence force has continued over the period discussed to meet two of its key main responsibilities. One, to protect the sovereign and defend the sovereign good of Trinidad and Tobago, and two, to cooperate with and assist the civil power in maintaining law and order. We have done this by the following. We have employed our assets around Trinidad and Tobago as part of the National Border Security Plan. These measures include, among other things, use of the National Coastal Radar System, which covers 360 degrees around Trinidad and Tobago, and we have employed the air assets to provide aerial coverage and verification of what the radar picture would have provided. We have used the maritime patrols on the north and south coast where we are most at threat based on the current concerns, and land patrols would have been coordinated to support those maritime patrols. What has been our success specifically over the last month? We have intercepted and detained 60 persons on land and at sea, and we have handed them over to the appropriate authorities. We have had sightings and deterrences of at least 10 vessels attempting to land at unauthorized ports of entry on the north coast, and what would have happened there is those vessels would have turned back and gone over the border. We would have even addressed one vessel reported from the Venezuelan embassy to our Coast Guard as missing, and we would have found the vessel and provided the necessary assistance. With respect to the Carnival operations, we'd have continued our routine operations, for example, in the interagency task force, doing those patrols in the respective areas. And specifically for Carnival, we would have had quick reaction forces employing 200 personnel of the Defence Force on standby at our camps to respond to any eventualities over the Carnival period. We are grateful with the efforts of the police that all went well and the citizens responded well as well. So we had a relatively quiet Carnival as was discussed. In a specific area in Moruga, you would have realized that we had a walkabout last Tuesday. Members of the media would have been there and would have been provided feedback to the national public. But in that area, we are employing law enforcement initiatives in the form of maritime patrols to address the border challenges that we have there, and coastal and confidence patrols interacting with the public and the community to provide assistance and guidance as necessary. We will continue with these efforts, and you'll see some community engagements. I mentioned the walkabout we had last week. We'll have some infrastructure support where the community will identify areas of need for infrastructure that needs assistance, for example, painting of schools or repairs of walls and so on, that the community will identify, and we will work with them to address those issues. We'll have a medical caravan where we'll go with our partners, Ministry of Health, Defence Force, and other personnel to provide medical assistance to the elderly and others in need as identified by the community as well. We'll also execute sports initiatives to bring football, cricket, and other activities to encourage sport back in the area, including competitions that we'll try to ensure it continues and it's not just a one-off effort. There'll be clearing and cleaning of the waterways and At the end, we look at a family day and Easter celebration competitions as a culmination of our efforts in that area. It is necessary, as necessary, we will move this program around the country to reinforce the intention to bring stability and security in our regions and our communities as necessary. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner of Police, Deputy Commissioner of Police, and Acting CDS. Fellow citizens, as the Minister of National Security for now just over 6 months, I can tell you that yesterday and on Monday, I felt a tremendous sense of pride as a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. And as we did our walkabouts, as I did my walkabouts on Monday with the Commissioner of Police, starting from Juve morning through Port of Spain, and then down in San Fernando and even Caripachima, there was a real sense of confidence and a sense of calm throughout the country. As we did our walkabout yesterday, and it was an extensive walkabout, starting here at the ministry down to South Key, through Piccadilly, up to the Savannah, across the Savannah, across Arapita Avenue, ending at the Socadrome. I can tell you that as a citizen, I stand here today and on your behalves, I thank all of the men and the women of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, all of the men and women of the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force, our intelligence services, the fire services, and even our prison services, our lifeguards, and our immigration officers who played their own specific parts in making Carnival the success that it was. I can say now without fear of contradiction that Carnival 2019, from a national security point of view, was the safest if we use the statistics as our measurement in many years. In fact, I've been provided with the statistics. When DCP Dulalchan spoke about SRCs, very often in national security, they use a lot of acronyms. SRCs, for us, the members of the public, are serious reported crimes. And I can tell you all, for Carnival, 2014, there were 46. 2015, there were 40. 2016, 24. 2017, 16. Last year, there were 21 SRCs. And I stand here today and I commend all of those who worked hard. We began preparations in October of last year, all the way through to Monday and Tuesday, to declare and announce that the serious reported crimes for Carnival period this year, 2019, fell to a record 12. This is not something, as the Commissioner of Police said, we will be sitting on our laurels and patting ourselves on the back. We will continue to work hard, and that's part of my message here today, and as I've been saying throughout the last 2 days. Now that Carnival, Monday and Tuesday, are over, yes, there continue to be activities today, Ash Wednesday. National security will be continuing to focus on the fight against the criminal element. Two things we've been seeing continuously since I came into office is the use of interagency efforts. And again, yesterday, I'm happy to say that on our walkabout, for the first time, I'm told in a very long time, we had the heads of prison as well as the fire services walking along with our Trinidad and Tobago Police Service and our Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force, and in particular the regiment. Well, Group Captain Daniel is from the Air Guard. These walks in the past had become something of just an occurrence. But I can tell you that yesterday, the walk took a specific, it held a different dimension. And certainly the feedback we got and continue to get throughout the course of the day. And I saw today in one of the daily newspapers a unanimous vote of confidence by the population that they felt safer this Carnival. You saw it. You saw more uniformed officers out. You've heard the record statistics of 95 up to 98% of our men and women in the police service reporting to duty. The commissioner, the deputy commissioner, Mr. Dulalchan, as the goal commander, are to be commended for that effort. This has been a group effort, but the leadership that we're seeing throughout national security at all levels with all our divisions, all of the bodies in national security, are taking a new It's a new energy, I keep saying, that is taking place. And the public will feel the benefits of what is taking place right now. Very often we forget about our immigration officers. You all will recall in the past few years, there were difficulties at the Piarco airport, and in particular as our air entry point. I'd like to commend all of the immigration officers, all of the men and women at immigration, and also customs, although customs doesn't form part of national security, it falls under the Ministry of Finance, for the great work and great effort that they put in making sure that this year there weren't the videos of the long lineups in the immigration hall at Piarco, and things flowed smoothly. You would recall that after leaving Maruga last week, Tuesday, I, along with some others in charge of security, met with the Minister of Works, and we did a walkthrough of the Piarco airport. Part of my journey to Piarco last week, Tuesday, I met with the head of immigration up there and gave them words of encouragement and asked them to up their efforts. And I'm glad that they heeded that call. So I thank our immigration officers, our lifeguards who are on duty over the course of the Carnival period. I'd also like to thank them. Prison officers who ensured that there were no untoward events at our prison service. Our fire officers who worked alongside our Trinidad and Tobago police service throughout a very long Carnival period, over 2 months, for the tremendous work that they too did. So by and large, today I stand proud as the Minister of National Security, but more so as a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, that we have now delivered a very safe and successful Carnival for 2019. There will always be minor incidents. In every single country of the world, it is impossible to police every single inch and corner. And in ending with my thanks, I'd like to thank the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, because the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, by and large, did their parts. They followed the instructions of the police officers. That went smoothly. And I'd like to end by saying this, that until every single citizen takes that personal decision to get back on track and to build the track of being a law-abiding country, we are going to have our struggles. Every single one of us carries a responsibility as a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. It doesn't only lie on the Minister of National Security shoulders, Chief of Defense Staff shoulders, the Commissioner of Police shoulders. We all carry our responsibilities and our duties, and at the leadership level in all of the arms of national security, you are seeing that change in environment, the change in attitude, and we hope that it filters down and it refocuses throughout Trinidad and Tobago, and it spreads with positivity. I'd like to thank you, the members of the media, as DCP Dulalchan did, for the tremendous job you all did in the coverage over a very intense period of the last 48 hours, Carnival Monday and Tuesday, and for the good work that you all did. I keep saying that it's very important, putting on now my Minister of Communications hat, it's very important that we communicate to the population the positives. There are a lot of positives in Trinidad and Tobago. Don't always look for the negatives. And the walk that you saw taking place yesterday was a positive walk. You could feel it, you could feel the energy. The citizens were happy. Everybody was stopping us and telling us how happy, how safe and secure they felt. Focus on the positive sides. That was not a cosmetic public relations exercise. It was very, very real. We expanded our walk to ensure that we got the maximum amount of feel and touch with as many citizens in Trinidad and Tobago as we could in this concentrated area. I think I heard the Gold Commander say, and the Commissioner of Police, it was over 300 to 400,000 people concentrated in Port of Spain over Monday and Tuesday. That is a big, big percentage of persons participating in the activities. And for that to end with only 12 throughout the country, only 12 serious crimes reported, that is a tremendous success by any means of measurement. And I thank everyone for the roles that they played. And I end by saying, before we take some questions, our job has not stopped. We are going to continue. In fact, this afternoon, we're going to our weekly meeting of heads of national security to continue our discussions and pushing the intelligence-driven operations that you all will see unfolding in the coming weeks and months. as we attempt to make Trinidad and Tobago a safer and more secure place. And I thank you all very much for being here this morning, and we'll take some questions at this stage.
Good morning, Minister Yolande Thomas from 9/7. I just wanted to find out, I know that you all said it would be sustained in terms of the security measures. In terms of homicides, I know that you all get flack for that. What sort of measures you all are going to put in place to ensure that our homicide rate, decreases?
The homicide rate is unfortunately one of the measurements and one of the statistics that persons look at. And I have been extremely cautious over the last 7 months about being drawn in to any discussion with respect to the homicide rate. What I can tell you from where I sit in intelligence-driven operations, we have been working, we've been utilizing a lot more technology trying to reduce it. Everything works towards homicide. So the locking down of our borders, I'll let the Commissioner give us the statistics on homicides. The locking down of our borders has prevented more illegal firearms coming in. The work that the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service and Defense Force have been doing, targeting specific areas and persons with firearms, they've been picking up a lot more firearms. Those are going to be continuing. One of the conversations we will continue to have is gathering of intelligence and use of intelligence to target especially the firearm-related offenses and the gangs and these types of criminal elements. If we do that successfully, you would expect the rate to reduce. It is not something that is completely within your control. In fact, it's very far out of being in your control. But as we begin to ramp up, and we have been ramping up over the past few months, the operations, the intelligence operations, the targeting of criminal elements, hopefully one of the positive byproducts of that would be a reduction in our homicide rate. I'd let the Commissioner provide us with the statistics, which are very positive statistics of the homicide rate within the last couple months. Okay. And in fact, over the last couple of days as well.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Within the last 4 days, there was one homicide, not in any way related to Carnival activity. I think because, up until Carnival Tuesday night, there was one homicide in a 3 or 4 day period. At this same time, in comparison to last year, there's been a 16% reduction in homicides. So if you're looking at our intention is to ensure that we are looking at a minimum of 20% reduction in comparison to last year. The number of homicides at the same time last year was 103. At this time, it is 87. So there's a 16% reduction in homicides. It is very far from where we want to go. But as I mentioned, this is not to be seen or stated as a success, but just that we are going in the right direction. When it is you have a country with over 400 homicides every year for the last 10, 12 years, bar a state of emergency, it shows where we have reached. It is not going to be something that can be done overnight, but what we are at a 16% reduction and continuing. 330 of the homicides last year would involve gang-related activities, retaliation, and other activities involving gang members. It is very difficult for any law enforcement agency in the world to deal with gang-related activities and homicides because these take place in situations and places away from where there may be any strong degree of policing, because you can't just police a whole country. Having said that, it is not that we are going to bury our heads in the sand. We know exactly what is required to deal with gang members. It involves the carrot and stick method. The carrot would be, as the Chief of Defense Staff mentioned, trying to find ways to get young persons to turn away from a life of crime, utilize their energies in the right direction. And when it is that the policing aspect is done by removing gang leaders and criminal elements in communities, making sure we fill that void. So the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, working hand in hand with the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force through the Ministry of National Security, there will be a number of initiatives you will be seeing this year dealing with what is known as secondary crime prevention, finding avenues to turn young persons away from a life of crime. It will involve street talk. It will involve Commissioner's Cup and finding mechanisms, because there are persons, again, it is similar to NYPD, where they have the model, it is known as ceasefire. So we are well aware that policing is not just about deterrent, intelligence gathering, detection rate, law enforcement, high visibility, a rapid response. It involves all elements to reduce crime. So we are fully aware of what is required, and we will continue to do so.
Just to add to what the Commissioner said, because this is a very important point, providing a different option, a different way of life to our young people. You all would recall that the Cabinet took a recent decision to continue with the CCC program, the MyLAT program, and the Prime Minister directed me to increase our ability to take more entrants in. So these are some specific programs that fall under the Ministry of National Security. The Commissioner is going to be announcing and bringing new initiatives and new programs under the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service as we go forward. So we're trying to tackle it from all aspects.
In on the homicide that took place in Laxton Bay with regards to the soldier, I think.
There is an ongoing investigation, as you would know. There's an ongoing police investigation with respect to that. I got that unfortunate news, I think, at about 1:30 this morning, and immediately passed it on to our intelligence services of Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, and it is going to be discussed at our meeting this afternoon. It is quite unfortunate. My condolences and sympathy go out to it was a soldier, one of our Defence Force personnel, goes out to his family. And I can tell you, like with all homicides and all murders, we are going to put the resources behind it and to find the detractors and those who are responsible for it. But as with all ongoing investigations, I can't say much more than that at this time.
Boucher from TV6 News. Commissioner Griffith, I know you said that in terms of homicides, we've had only one in the last 4 days. I was wondering if you would be able to give us an idea of what the other 11 SRCs were over is it Carnival Tuesday?
Yeah, sure. I will have the Gold Commander, Mr. Dulalchan.
Yeah, actually, in Northeastern Division, there were 2 woundings with intent. And a wounding in Eastern Division, we had we had 2 robberies and a possession of marijuana for trafficking, which means someone was held. Tobago Division, we had a robbery with violence and a malicious damage. Someone had a pair of spectacles to the value of $2,500 being damaged. And in Port of Spain Division, we had 5 reported serious crimes, 2 woundings, a larceny from the person, and 2 robberies with aggravation. One of the robberies with aggravation, the perpetrator was held, the victim was recovered, and I think the victim was, in fact, a national of the U.S. Okay, sure.
What I'd like to add, members of the media, is during the course of the Carnival period over Monday and Tuesday, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service continued with their operations. So no focus has been placed on that. I don't know if they've provided that type of information, but certainly we were getting the information throughout Trinidad and Tobago. The police continued to drive intelligence-based operations, and they had a number of successes. They had picked up some firearms, they had picked up persons with drugs and marijuana, drugs being marijuana mainly, and they continued with those operations, and I'd like to commend them. Because the point that the Commissioner was making yesterday is all of the resources were not focused on Port of Spain, all of the resources were not focused only on Carnival activities, because some people will say, oh, you were too focused on Carnival, what about the other elements of crime? The success is there. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service continued to drive their intelligence-driven efforts and actually had a number of successes. And you've heard from our Chief of Defence Staff what we continue to do in the border and the successes they continue to have there.
If I could just add,
Yes.
also, the reason why it is that you would have seen such a reduction is that we were using that preemptive strike technique, whereby apart from getting data to look at where certain situations may have taken place using comparative statistics from years gone by to know how to utilize our resources, through technology, the Operational Command Center was ignited heavily from just since Marshall Monday. And we will truly utilizing the CCTVs around the country, the drone, the dashboard cameras on the ERP vehicles, the blanket of the emergency response vehicles throughout the country, 85 vehicles, 24 hours a day, making sure that you can have a response within minutes. What that did was to ensure that if we would have seen something escalating, we could immediately be able to send a response to minimize a situation that may have turned from an argument that could have turned into something more serious. And by doing that, we were able to provide that preemptive strike. So it was based on that type of predictive policing to prevent something from escalating. So it's not a case of us just turning up on a situation after that existed. You would have known, you'd probably know about Arapita Avenue last night. We were talking about 60,000 people. It was packed from one end of Arapita Avenue to the other. And yes, we do have the proclamation for Carnival until midnight. But when it will reach, and again, using data, persons were killed on Arapita Avenue for Carnivals going by. Dozens of persons are stabbed. And unfortunately, again, because of, as the Minister mentioned, we work closely with our intelligence agencies. There were plans for persons to come to disrupt Carnival and to use that cloak of darkness and to use the opportunity where tens of thousands of persons converged. And it did start. Where they arrived, persons started throwing bottles, persons started robbing individuals. And I had to make a judgment call. And the judgment call was we had to shut down the music. And that was to ensure nothing is more important than the priority, which is the safety and security of the law-abiding citizens of this country. And by doing that, may very well have ensured that persons may not have been killed or injured. And it is something that we may need to look at in the very near future for other carnivals. This is one of the few countries in the world where you have carnival that goes on from Friday. Certain DJs, they blast their music. It affects persons, the Woodbrook residents and others. And again, in other carnivals, you have a time and a shut-off point. But we have carnival that starts from probably Thursday before carnival, and it runs right through. The same DJ will be blasting his music for 4 or 5 days constantly under the cloak of it being carnival. It's something, and this obviously would affect even my police officers, because the police officers have to man these places. So whereas certain things went on, as Mr. Dulalchan stated, till 2, 3 in the morning on Carnival Monday night. Some of my same officers had to get back onto the streets because of the rotation that wasn't expected. So it's something that we may need to look at, because, as I said, the preemptive strikes we did, it also ensured traffic congestion, where persons may have spent hours getting out of Port of Spain, getting out of the Western Peninsula. We had operational plans for each thing that we were able to cut the traffic congestion by half. So it's just certain things we have to look at in our debrief for the Carnival 2020.
I'd like to commend the police service on the note that the Commissioner just drew to our attention. Because I sat in on some of their planning meetings, including one that we had on Carnival Friday, as it came down to the wire. And the type of attention to detail that was displayed by the police service and the sharing, and then the policies that we were driving from national security, etc., they implemented very well. Getting out of Port of Spain on the last 2 nights, Monday and Tuesday, was a lot easier than it's been in years gone by, ensuring that the ERP vehicles were along the highway points to make sure that persons were safe as well. There was one great success story of exactly the predictive type of intelligence-driven policing, that we had some persons hear a woman screaming in a car in an area in Trinidad. Immediately, a police vehicle was on the scene within seconds. The person who tried to escape, they were running down that person. Another ERP vehicle got onto the scene as well, and the officers managed to apprehend the suspect within a matter of minutes. Those are the types of successes we see. I'm hoping that we will see grow as we implement and utilize more technology and more intelligence-driven operations going forward. Okay.
Good morning, Mr. Commissioner, Mr. Deputy Commissioner. Just to take a step away from Carnival, the reports from Carnival. Unfortunately, we learned that Acting ASP Mark Maraj of the Northern Division, formerly of the Port of Spain CID, passed away this morning. Yes. Would you like to take this opportunity to extend any condolences at this time? Yeah,
most definitely. Mr. Dulalchan, I think he will be able to say much more, but obviously it hits the heart of the police service when any officer dies. He was ailing, but again, I was speaking to Mr. Ford, ACP Ford, and he was actually saying that yet even though he was, even though the doctors recommended for him to rest, he insisted he wanted to be part of the operation. He wanted to work, and even up until Carnival Monday, he was actually performing his duty, doing it on his own. It shows dedication to duty. It is a fallen comrade. Condolences to his family, to friends, and to Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. It is life. It is very unfortunate. I think Mr. Dulalchan, you know you know him, Mr. Mark.
Well, I could say Mark has been a very experienced officer. he would have worked in several divisions. And when he came to Port of Spain, we brought him to Port of Spain because of his experience. Mark will be sadly missed, and I also would like to join with the Commissioner to extend condolences to his family and his friends, and to the officers he would have worked very closely with throughout his career.
Bernard, CNC3. How effective were the drones, and was a lot of information gathered using the drones?
Definitely. There are drones and there are drones. We have the air unit, and the air unit, the drones that we have, my apologies for referring to as Toys R Us drones, but the fact is, even those drones, I can actually provide it for the media to take a look at. And in fact, I think you all did. And you saw that it when we did the initial presentation on Carnival Saturday at the Queen's Park Savannah. These drones, it has provided immense support for the ground troops. The drones that we have at present, you're actually able to see something from that air surveillance, being able to get it from that height. It has assisted us greatly, especially for Carnival. It has assisted us in dealing with traffic control, monitoring situations. We were able to look at the Queen's Park Savannah, the Western Peninsula, around San Fernando, any areas where we started seeing crowds that will converge in an area, or even traffic. We were then able to utilize through the operational command center, because the drones, the good thing with the drones is information was being fed in real time. So it's not a case of you have a payroll and everything is just being pumped, and when it lands, then you're getting to see what is happening. We had real-time video footage. That use of technology is what is important. And again, it goes back to the body cameras. The body cameras and police officers that we have now, it is something that is recorded, and back at the ranch, you look to see what took place. What I'm trying to do is to ensure that we have real-time video footage. So the cameras that you have on the dashboard of the Emergency Response Patrol, that is being fed in real time. We looked at situations from other countries, Ecuador and so forth. When you do that, back at the Operational Command Center, the relevant divisional commanders and other representatives in the Ministry of National Security, we can now look and see a situation, make an informed decision to ascertain if we need fire services and other arms. So as the Minister Young stated, thankfully that National Operation Fusion Center has played a very big part towards getting the agencies working together. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, our success plays because of the close working relationship we have with the other agencies now, it has assisted us greatly in us moving forward. So going back to the drones, that is just one of several being fed in real time, and we need to improve on that. But by doing so, we'll have obviously to look at the type of technology and the restraints, and also the threats that we have, because I think that these drones can also assist us greatly in dealing with border protection. But I think the Minister, you want to deal much more with that.
But in terms of Monday and Tuesday, in terms of what percentage of information came from the drones?
Okay, if you're looking at for intelligence gathering, the focus of the drones was really for us to deal with Carnival Monday and Tuesday. So by getting the video footage in real time, as I mentioned, it assisted us greatly to know exactly where we need to mobilize forces to assist in reducing traffic. If it is that we saw a situation at, just as Arapita Avenue last night, we saw what was taking place, you'll see incidents. And by doing that, through that technology, we were able to actually see, you were able to see everything that is happening at that same time. So that by doing that, the emergency response patrols that will be on the ground, strategically placed, forming the blanket, we can then, through the drones, what we were able to do, for example, an incident may take place, we're seeing something happening, we can then call the ERP vehicles in closest proximity to the threat to have them respond immediately. So by that, real-time video footage being fed from the drones, we were able to get the response units on the ground to immediately respond to the scene. Whether it is a 999 call, for example, if there's a concern, the drone now will then automatically go to where that 999 call is, see what you'll be able to pick up in real time and have it fed back to the operational command center. So the use of the drones played a very big part towards the measured success we had for Carnival.
Just to add, so you all understand this whole technology point, we have over 1,800 CCTV cameras placed throughout Trinidad and Tobago. We added about 150 in the past month. The drones provide an aerial view, so exactly what the Commissioner was saying. When we were in the command center on Monday afternoon before we headed to San Fernando, Gold Commander Dulalchan was able to see what was happening in certain areas in central Trinidad. and to see that it was not the amount of thousands and thousands of people as were being reported. And then the commissioner and Mr. Dulalchan were able to then divert resources to other areas. So just having the ability to pick up what is going on the ground real time and to give you that aerial view, it helps. So you're not going to get the type of sensational statistics that, oh, the drone followed someone who was being robbed, etc., etc. That's not part of the success. Part of the success that was real time was just having that aerial view, which covers a lot more than one stationary camera covers on a corner. Members of the media, thank you all very much. I'm sure you all have to get to Maracas for your soak-downs and Mayaro for your soak-downs whilst we continue to work. And I end by saying I thank everyone who played a very important part in the success of Carnival 2019, and I'm glad that it's behind us now and that we move on, as we always do in national security, to the next task before us and to continue to make Trinidad and Tobago a safer and more secure place. Thank you very much.